Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone in the world, and welcome to yet again another 5-year review. This time we are here this week. We missed out last week, unfortunately, just due to a few issues.
About 2-week hiatus.
Yeah, so we had a couple of episodes that we didn't do, so we're going forward with this week's one. This week is going to be the Rampage First Dance. We're doing something slightly different that's probably going to get us either kicked off YouTube or a copyright strike either way. But let's get straight into it, shall we?
So let's do it. And by the way, hope everybody enjoyed Thanksgiving, by the way. We've been live
Definitely.
Since. The crowd already chanting his name. They know what's coming.
This has to be a massive moment. Hello, C. Henry. Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
This
Happy
had to
holidays
be
to you too, C. Henry.
This had. I don't care what anyone says. This has to be one of the, if not the biggest, return pop that I've ever seen.
That was real. Well, it's really a huge pop, especially in his hometown.
100%. Everyone fear for your lives, especially if you're an owner of a wrestling promotion.
Well, it's going to be about a 3-hour chat about that.
Just to get from the intro of Rampage to him getting to the ring and in the ring is 8 minutes. Is over 8 minutes long.
Hey, it's about the same time as when Roman Reigns comes out every time he comes in the ring.
It's not even a quarter of Undertaker's entrance.
Yeah. You can tell he's enjoying it, sinking it in.
I ain't gonna lie, I marked out.
Yeah. Same
I
here.
marked out when this happened.
Same here.
I lost my shit.
That is one of the best pops, I think, in quite a while.
Yeah.
By far.
It set this show, it set the company apart at the time. Like, it made it huge. Yeah. See, Alex said he saw it and he said no fucking way, which it's believable.
They picked on that fan crying, and Punk spotted it. It's people picking on him. He goes, "You know what? I want to meet this fan. Bring him backstage." That's something you don't see very often. Wrestlers jump in there.
G'day, Drew. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Drew. Think you're new. I haven't seen you. Subscribe.
And then went on to choke him out for not being straight edge.
Oh. Well, we'll see about NXT tomorrow night, Drew.
Quite possibly. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, she's wrestling Kaya Parker in an underground match with low ring ropes.
Ah, yep.
So I know we're talking about Punk, but sorry, Raz, but the men's and women's Iron Survivor tomorrow night is going to be the best matches of the card there.
That tournament's usually pretty good on NXT, from what I've seen.
The Iron Survivor matches, when they get pinned, they got to go in the penalty box.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty good matches. I think Shawn Michaels created that match, unless it's Jeff Jarrett's one created it. You're picking Julia. I'm picking Stephanie. Reason I'm picking Stephanie because Stephanie might turn heel, and we might see Julia versus Stephanie down the road.
Fair enough. Oops, that's the one that we want. We don't want that one. I'm going to stop that. Can move that. Okay, there we go. So here we are. Episode 2 of Rampage, really.
Yeah.
And it was that's the one, not the bloody other one. Sorry. Episode 2 of Rampage, and that's the debut of CM. No, it's not your fault, dude. My bad. So we've got the debut of CM Punk and the loudest pop ever.
It was.
Yeah. And look, I could keep going, but if I do, we're going to get thrown off TV. So,
yeah.
YouTube, not TV. Julia is a good win, yes. Alex doesn't care, honestly, as long as it leads to Roxanne losing the belt. Fun fact about Roxanne. Before she signed with WWE, she was, in that year, she was the ROH Women's Champion. And by the end of that year, she was the NXT Women's Champion.
Yep.
Yeah. So, fun fact.
She was not even 21 years old.
That's true. And yes, she was the first Ring of Honor's Women's Champion as well.
That is definitely true.
Yeah. But getting back to the reason we're actually here, which was that episode of Rampage. Clearly, we're a bit biased because it is this in the Chicago Center. It is a massive crowd of over 15,000 people. It is obviously the return of CM Punk. Going into that episode, no knowledge beforehand. What did you think was going to come out of it?
Well, I think it's going to come out of CM Punk.
Yep.
Hey, CM Punk at AEW at that time. Hey, I figured it's going to skyrocket AEW. And, and it's a shame it didn't work out that way.
It definitely was a ratings booster. That episode, by far the biggest episode of Rampage they've ever seen and they've ever done. No doubt about it. That was a ratings booster. It pulled people in and made people think that this company is legit and that they've now just pulled one of the biggest stars in the world into the company. Alex thought he was going to fear for his life that day.
Oh, Lord. Here we go.
I'm guessing Alex is a time traveler because he must have known this back then. And so he must have time traveled back to that point. One thing that was hilarious and got me was that even on the announce desk, they were hyping up the CM Punk return and stuff like that. But there was a hype for the show as well. They wanted to make sure that people stayed after the whole CM Punk segment, which clearly it did. They got as much as they could out of it. So he was the one that told Punk to do it.
Well, it's a good thing they opened the show, though, because I don't know if the fans will stay till after the matches to see Punk. I don't know.
I think if you'd opened the show with a quick match, you could have easily gotten the fans, because you would have had the fans obviously doing the chant of CM Punk. You start the show with a quick match and like a 2-3 minute match, and then move into that segment. then you've hooked that first quarter. You've got that first quarter hour, possibly half hour.
Well, the probably reason why they open it off because they want fans to start saying, screw this wrestling. We want CM Punk.
Oh, 100%. If they had started with a match, it would definitely have caused a massive bitch fest and hijacking of the show.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if Khan was a man or a little bitch. So it was me, Tony. It was me all along. Look, I think that Punk coming in was a great move by AEW at the time.
Yeah.
I think that both sides of the conversation needed work. Clearly, Punk had been out for a long time, and the wrestling world had changed since he was gone. And the company was very, very young. They were going to make mistakes, and people in charge were very, very new to what they were doing. And what people seem to forget is this company is only 5 years old.
Yep.
This company is not a massive company. They're big. They're big. They're the biggest one in. They're the second biggest company in America, but they're still got years to go to be the biggest, to be direct competition. WCW took forever to be competition.
Yeah.
WWF. WCW was around when in the late 80s, thanks to the NWA. They were a part of the NWA. And then it was only in the 90s that they became properly WCW. Late 80s, early, and I'm talking really late 80s, like 89, I think it was.
I think it's like 89 they started at WCW, or early 90.
Yeah. And then WCW only lasted, in total, 11 years as WCW. Okay, it had the history of the NWA and stuff like that, but it doesn't mean that the company, it took them a while to get where they were. When they got Nitro up and running in 95, it took them over a year to get the major shift to happen for, and even then the company, after that major shift, were not listening and they had a lot of restrictions put on them. So it made it a lot harder. We're not here to talk about that, though. We're not here to talk about WCW. We're here to talk about Rampage, or AEW, in that episode of Rampage. So obviously Punk's come back. He's said his bit. We can put that on if anybody wants to watch it. If you don't, that's fine. But the crowd was red hot, absolutely amazing crowd. We got, after the CM Punk segment, we get Christian in Jurassic Park.
Express.
Jurassic Express backstage. Jurassic Park. What is wrong with me? And then we have Private Party versus Jurassic Express in a tag team eliminator. To determine who's going to go on to face either Penta or the Lucha Brothers and
the Varsity Blondes,
and or the Varsity Blondes at Dynamite the next week, for who's going to go on and face the Young Bucks in a steel cage. That's a mouthful.
Indeed.
We all know what happened there. It turns out to be one of the best steel cage matches ever, especially for a tag team. That was amazing. I think that is a pay-per-view we could do a review on, because that match was absolutely insane, and I love that match.
Yep. It was a great match.
So the Jurassic Express win that match and move on to face either Penta or
The
Varsity.
Lucha Brothers versus the Varsity Bonds.
That's right. Yep. Yes, they had 2 debuts at that pay-per-view as well. You are not wrong. You are not wrong. But we could definitely go back and watch that. After that, we go backstage to Kenny Omega talking about how he's going to take out Christian at the pay-per-view and that Christian's not going to take the title. We then have Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan video package, followed by the Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan match.
They've been feuding because Kiera Hogan was with Jade at that time.
Yep.
And
she was part of Jade's crew. Yep. And then
Red Velvet, I think it was.
Yeah, I believe so. Jade pretty much squashed her, as was the standard with Jade matches.
That match didn't stay long at all.
No. Then we had a Mox and Garcia backstage segment where, as ABJ said, drunk Mox or on the sauce Mox was very, very knew how to cut a promo. Like he was very.
That was pretty promo by Mox. That really was.
By the way, this pervert stash phrase, Kenny Omega. Not quite. It was not quite the pedo mo. So the creepy pedo mo. And then we move to Mox and Garcia wrestling. Mox obviously wins there. Was it getting there? Yes, it was. Mox wins this match 2.0 as they were known at the time before Matt Menard and Cool Hand got renamed. Yep, before they got renamed because they were still 2.0, but they didn't. There was Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, and
they were in WWE. I forgot their name on the WWE.
Yeah. They attacked Moxley and Kingston with Sting and Darby Allin making the save at the end of the show. Yeah. So, honestly, that's the end of the recap, really. Yeah. That is the end of the recap. What did you think of the show overall?
Well, everybody tuned in basically because of Punk. The matches. They don't really care for the matches. I wonder if this has the highest viewing on Rampage ever.
Oh, definitely did.
That CM Punk debut there.
Yeah, it definitely had the highest viewing ever. I'm sure if you go back and look over it, it would be the biggest thing. Boring as hell, except for Punk. Look, the show, surprisingly, it looks boring, but when you watch it, it wasn't that bad. No, because of how quick everything ran through. Yeah. And because of the Punk situation and how it was only an hour, it made that show really, really good for the hour time frame. Mm-hmm. It made it really, really good. It made it something that people could watch and be like, oh, this is actually different to what the big company puts on, and goes from there. So maybe the fossilized fuel did something. No, not yet. Yeah, no, this wasn't father figure quite yet. We weren't at father figure Christian. That's the father figure Christian doesn't come in until.
That was still a babyface Christian, though.
Yes, because he was the Impact and TNA World Champion after beating Kenny Omega the week before.
Yeah.
When you watching the show back, what did you think of the show?
I enjoyed it. I really did. Like I said, though, everybody's tuned in because of Punk.
Oh,
And that's the
100%.
only reason they tuned in for it.
Yeah.
The Mox and the Garcia match was good. I think that was the best match of the card.
Yeah, 100%.
Other than that, it was a good show for Rampage standards.
Yeah. Yeah. We all, we needed that, the man who called people carny pieces of shit on the TV show. Yep.
Oh, by the way, Alex, when you said that comment saying he's working with children, well, he knew he worked with children before he signed that contract.
That is true. But not our place to discuss contracts or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
In my feelings, I marked out like a bitch when Punk
Here.
returned. It was huge. I remember being at home and getting my mum to watch it for the first time ever. Like, I got her to watch it, and she's like, "No way." She shit herself. To put it nicely, she shit herself. Not literally, but yeah, I got her to watch it as well, so she loved it. It was great, really. It was great. The downfall, obviously, is what's happened afterwards, and that it's a learning curve. We can easily go back in time and fix it if with hindsight we can go back and fix it. G'day there, Jake. Thanks for joining us. Like, we could go back now and fix it all up and continue having Punk in AEW. But it begs the question: would things change, or would it stay? Would we still be in the situation we're in at this point?
Well, it makes you wonder though if AEW is Russian. You know what I'm saying? Getting these good, these wrestlers. I mean, the big wrestlers,
Yeah. I think bringing in Punk was a smart move. Just there needed to be that backstage personality, because you got to remember, this is before we've brought in Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't brought in Danielson.
Or Adam Cole too.
We haven't brought in Adam Cole yet. So it's well before that. And we haven't got someone like William Regal backstage either.
Nope.
The only people we've got backstage are Arn Anderson, who, yes, he's an old school guy, but still not a locker room leader, if that makes sense.
Well, he's got a good wrestling mind, though. As far as
he's got a good wrestling mind, but not a locker room guy, especially with these sort of wrestlers, with these sort of guys, because these sort of guys are the young up and comers, the new breed of entertainers, the new breed of wrestling, and you don't have that full locker room leader there. Could Punk have become that? Maybe, but he clearly didn't endear himself at the time, and there was things that people just didn't want to acknowledge. So yeah, and obviously Cody ends up leaving as well, so it's a whole different scenario. But essentially, this is not pre-recorded. I was about to say that's pretty much it from us.
So what's the next week's show going to be?
That's a good question. What do we want to do for next week's episode? Is there an episode that you want to do? Is there a pay-per-view you want to do?
Do you want to do a pay-per-view? A 3-4 hour pay-per-view be over like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. We'd have to get in earlier than that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good AEW Dynamite show.
Yeah. There's quite a few, like there's 5 years to choose from. It doesn't, as I said, it doesn't have to be Dynamite. It doesn't have to, it can be Dynamite, Collision, can be a pay-per-view, can be Rampage. If it's going to be a pay-per-view, we have to obviously set aside a time, and that's going to be slightly different to the way we work for this show. Or when we come in and
help
do
us out if y'all want to pick a Dynamite episode or a Collision or a Rampage episode.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat.
Yeah, if you've got anything.
Because I'm stumped at the moment.
I'm trying to think of what other episodes there could be that. First episode of Collision. There we go.
There you go.
Done. Next week's too easy. That is great. Makes our life easier. We're going to do the first episode of Collision. Once again,
makes sense. We did the first episode of Rampage.
Once again, it's a CM Punk based episode. So yeah, it's going to be hilarious. We're going to do 2 episodes back to back with CM Punk involved.
Is this the episode where he's still raising Kane with the Young Bucks?
I don't really know.
I wonder if it was the.
I think it's after All In. It's after All In. I know that for sure.
So that it had already happened.
Yeah. So, because it's after All In, and they created Collision essentially for Punk to have a show or to be a different type of show. Yeah, we're going to do that next week. That won't be hard to do. Collision. So we're going to do Collision. What do you think? Anything else that you want to do like other than Collision? Like for maybe the next few weeks we can figure out an episode.
Well, the Collision debuted how fitting. Chicago.
Yes, it was. It was in Chicago.
June 17th of 2023 was the first episode of Collision.
There you go. We will do Collision. Yeah, I remember they announced it is in Chicago because that's where he did like 15 announcements, and that's where he was. He did like 15 announcements for it, so.
Man, they were really hyping up that first Collision, weren't they? At that time.
They really were. They really were. So, crap. Sorry. Give me a second.
No problem, friend.
I am here. Don't you worry. I am here. I'm just quickly doing something so that we have. Here we go. Come on. Slow ass piece of shit. There you go. I'm going to search up the one because I forgot the episode number.
Who's wrestling on that card? Remember asking.
On Collision?
Yeah, the first episode of Collision.
Oh, that's a damn good question. It was I don't actually remember, but here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Steven's on it.
Luchasaurus wrestled Wardlow for the TNT title.
Okay.
And they got Punk and FTR in a trios match versus Samoa Joe, Jay White, and Juice Robinson.
Okay. So this is what we're going to do next week. 5-year review, AEW Collision, the first ever episode. So this is going to be an interesting one because it's once again a CM Punk. Also, it is a 2-hour episode of Collision, because Collision was 2 hours. So,
and they also did Charlotte's husband versus Buddy Matthews. Miro versus Tony Nese, and Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale versus the Outcasts, Tony Storm and Ruby Soho.
Fair enough.
And that's the episode of Collision.
Okay. Well, there you go. Steven's run it down for me. I don't even need to be here anymore. So I'll just make the graphics and you can host, Steven. There you go.
Well, I'll just name what's on the card.
Oh, good. I think we should also do one where they air the fucking Christ.
Yeah. Alex really wants us canceled, does he?
He really does. I think he really, really does. Hi, DM. Thanks for joining us. You catching us.
You know, Alex, we love AEW. We just don't want to get canceled by AEW.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't get kicked off the air for showing that footage, but I guess because we were talking about it, it doesn't count as copyright because we were talking over half of it. So
we'll probably find out within a couple of days or so, probably.
I'll find out. Who knows? But
hope not, though. Other than that,
yeah. Other than that, I'm gonna be getting out of here. Steven, you got anything?
No, sir.
No.
But if everything goes right, we'll be there for the Dynamite post show game.
Yeah.
Because
I think we haven't been cancelled.
Yeah.
So.
Knock on wood. Yeah. If we are, we can blame Alex.
Steven, he's asking. He's going to try and steal your line. Well, I've been Raz. That's been Steven. And
bye, guys.